So we are proceeding with the next stage of that is nature of a hypothesis. Says it is supposed to be related to the available technique only. Now the next nature of hypothesis says theoretical relevance. Theoretical relevance means what? If you are setting a hypothesis, that's hypothesis supposed to be logical, okay? But along with logical perspective of that hypothesis, it is also important for a researcher to have certain theoretical evidence of that particular statement. Now what does it mean? In the second chapter of research process, we conducting review of literature. Now what is it, review of literature? In this reviewing of literature, we are basically conducting research, conducting analysis part of existing thesis. Whatever research which has been done yet, we are conducting analysis, or we are referring those thesis so that we can logically deduce something from that existing theories. That is the secondary data basically. So whatever research has been done by the other researcher till the date, so therefore on the basis of those theoretically evidence, we are framing this hypothesis. So that is why it is being called that theoretical relevance. The hypothesis is supposed to have theoretical relevance, secondary data relevance, where we can say that the other researcher has done the research yet, and I am conducting the research beyond that. Okay, so that is what theoretical relevance. Let's take an example. If I'm conducting research on earth prone area or flood prone area in India, in that case there is n number of factors involved behind it, and there are so many research have been done by the many researchers on the same topic. So I should have enough references about few theories that supporting my hypothesis. So that is what theoretical relevance. Next one is consistency. And now what is the meaning of consistency of hypothesis? As you all know, on the basis of target objective, we are setting hypothesis. So it is advisable for the researcher to have consistency of their subject matter. And on the basis of these hypotheses, we are setting a questionnaire, and on the basis of those questionnaire only, we are collecting data. So it is interrelated process. Each and every stage is dependent on each other. So in that case, I supposed to be clear enough, and I supposed to be consistent with respect to my work. So let's take an example. If I'm setting hypothesis, first hypothesis says a statement like 8 out of 10 students from Mumbai University are attending lectures every day. So it's 8 out of 10, every 10 students are attending lecture every day. Only 20% students are attending lectures. Now 8 out of 10 means it's 80%. 8 out of 10 is 80% and 20%. It's a totally opposite hypothesis. So in that case, I'm not consistent with my first thought. In the first thought, in my first statement, I'm stating that 80% students are attending lectures, and in the second statement or second hypothesis, I'm saying that only 20% students are attending lectures. It is a totally opposite statement, two opposite statements. So in that case, I have to be consistent with my first statement, and I have to consistent with my objective, and have to consistent with my questionnaire and collecting data. Okay, so it is important for the researcher to set a statement which is consistent, Next one is objectivity. Now hypothesis should be free from bias of researcher. It is supposed to be based on objectivity, not on the perception of a researcher, as it is possible that a researcher's background can be influence his thought while assuming or while assuming hypothesis. So it is advisable, it is the nature of hypothesis that says that it should be objectivity based, and it should be biased free. It's supposed to be free from any biasness or from the researcher's point of view. It should be totally based on review of literature and objective of the research process. So let's take an example. If we are doing research on certain community and you are from that community only, in that case, let's take an example. If we are doing research on certain community and I am belonging to that community only, in that case my perception can influence my hypothesis, because I'm from that community only, and I'm framing hypothesis according to that, according to my on basis of my emotion and not on logical perception. Basically, it could be possible. So in that case, I have to be more objectivity. I have to be more objective oriented. I have to be more bias free. I have to be more logical. Next one is consider all pertinent areas of problem. Now consider all pertinent area of problem. The last nature of hypothesis says that if you are doing research, you supposed to be at the end, we are going to test it, right? The hypothesis need to be tested later on. So in that case, I have to consider all pertinent area that can be included in my research work. Like for example, if I'm doing research on decline in the value of the shares of a particular company, in that case, whatever the factors can be included in that particular problem of decline in value of the shares, I have to include all those factors in my research work. I have to consider all those factors which could be responsible for decline in value of the shares of that particular company. Like for example, if there is a decline in shares of Reliance Industry, then Reliance Industry could do the research on why, what is the factor, like market research. They can do a market analysis, what is the reason behind it, internal external analysis basically, then micro and macro based basically. Then they can conduct research on their employees also. They can conduct research on their product share values, like for example, what kind of offering they are, whatever the offer they have made to their shareholders, whether shareholders are enjoying it, the profit or not. All these factors include in this particular fact, considering all areas of problem. So this is called nature of hypothesis, and that's it. Thank you.